Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us for the 2023 State of the Community. My name is Amy Frazier, President and CEO of the Culpeper Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce hosts this annual event as an opportunity for members, business leaders, and the general public to hear firsthand current and future happenings impacting our region. We're excited to have some amazing presentations over the next 2 hours featuring key community members to report on small business resources, economic vitality, workforce, community health and well-being, and public safety. Before we get into the program, I would like to take a moment to thank our event sponsors: Culpeper Media Network, Culpeper Star Exponent, UVA Community Credit Union, WinStar Technologies, and 103.1 WJMA, 105.5 and 95.3 SAM FM. Our first presenter of the program is Rosie Beachy. Rosie is the new Assistant Director of the Central Virginia Small Business Development Center, covering Culpeper, Greene, Orange, Madison, and Rappahannock counties. Her previous careers include sales, customer service, market research, nonprofit development, and grant writing, and small business startup. And now I will pass it on to Rosie to tell us more about small business resources in Culpeper.
Good morning, everyone, and I want to wish everyone a happy National SBDC Day. If you can see my screen and hear me, hopefully. Like everyone else, we have a national day, and today is an awesome, auspicious occasion, so thank you for inviting me to speak today. Let's see. I need to open that. Hang on one second. All right, here we go. I am Rosie Beachy. I am your partner in business here in Culpeper. And I'll be honest, before I started in this position, I spent most of my career in corporate sales and marketing and customer service and the nonprofit world. And I had no idea that there was such a thing as the Small Business Development Center. I think it's one of the hidden jewels in Virginia, and I'm here to tell you all of the things you can take advantage of through the SBDC and some great programs we've got planned for 2023 in Culpeper. If you're not familiar with the SBDC, we were established by an act of Congress in 1988. We started with 3 locations across the country, and today we have 28 offices just in Virginia. Even though we are supported by the SBA, we are not a government agency. We are hosted by the Community Investment Collaborative, which I'm going to speak about in just a moment. We are a nonprofit that is financially supported by the SBA, the CIC, the communities, the counties that we serve, individual donations, and grants. I want to thank Culpeper for supporting small businesses by supporting the SBDC. All SBDCs have host organizations. Here in Central Virginia, ours is the Community Investment Collaborative in Charlottesville, a nonprofit that provides financial support, business education, training, and mentoring with a particular emphasis on underserved populations. As a community development financial institution, or CDFI, they also provide microloans to businesses up to $50,000, and they are very interested in supporting growth here in Culpeper. The Central Virginia SBDC's biggest assets are our people. You may only see 2 or 3 people representing the SBDC in the Culpeper area, but we have a wealth of knowledge you can tap into through the SBDC network. Experts in finance, capital, business startups, the craft beverage industry, and government contracting are just a few fields we can provide expertise for you. Small business development centers are probably best known for helping businesses at the beginning stage, but businesses are continually changing. As you saw in the previous slide, we have a lot of expertise to help businesses at any stage of their business. We work with people from concept stage to companies with nearly 100 employees that are doing business nationally and internationally. SBDC assists with research, with concept development and testing, business development and planning, business operations, access to capital, and so much more. Our core activity is our one-on-one confidential business advising service. In addition to specialty counseling services listed on the slide, we have specialists that can help in the areas of Innovation Commercialization Assistance Program, or ICAP, capital acquisition, pricing strategy, and much more. We also provide many events and training opportunities throughout the year. Most of these are free of charge, and a few are offered with a nominal cost and cover several topics such as business startup, social media marketing, pitching to angel investors, and more. Most are hybrid events like what you see here, accommodating those who can't join us in person. Our online calendar includes not only events sponsored by the SBDC, but other organization events that will benefit small businesses. We provide information about training opportunities available across the state or nationally. And if you miss out on our most popular webinars like our QuickBooks training or our Starting Your Business training, don't worry. These webinars are held regularly throughout the year. Check our calendar on our website for events that will benefit your business. One of our flagship offerings is our Business Essentials training, which is a 5-week course held throughout the year. It's offered both virtually and in person for a nominal fee and includes everything to jumpstart your business and get you up and running. As a business, why should you use the services of the SBDC? Businesses are better prepared to go to the next level when they take advantage of the business expertise the SBDC can offer. As our executive director, Rebecca Haydock, likes to say, we want you to make original mistakes, not the same mistakes other businesses have made. The numbers on this slide reflect the benefit the SBDC clients have seen Virginia-wide. But what about Culpeper? In 2022, a transition year for the Central Virginia SBDC, we achieved significant impact in Culpeper through our consulting sessions. 47 of our clients started new businesses. 10 new jobs were created. 236,000 was put to work in capital in Culpeper. We spent 179 hours consulting with Culpeper clients, and Culpeper citizens attended 8 events via Zoom. This includes attendees from the local Coffeewood facility who are learning new business skills that they will put into practice when they begin a new chapter in their lives. For 2023, we have a jammed-packed calendar for Culpeper. First up, on April 26th, we are working with Brian and Winona of the Culpeper County Economic Development Office to present the Culpeper County Conference. The business community is invited to drop in for those power courses and workshops that will benefit them the most, or stay for a full day. We do ask you to register since Brian is buying lunch. Next up in May, we have Culpeper Competes, which we are producing in conjunction with Tori and Paige of the town of Culpeper. Entrepreneurs and new businesses are strongly urged to apply. Culpeper Competes includes 8 weeks of programming, including our Business Essentials training, which anyone can attend. And it culminates with an exciting pitch competition for people who are either residents or will be locating their business in the town of Culpeper. Prize money is significant, and applications are due May 1st. Those applications are available online at visitculpeperva.com. In August, we are hosting the Community Investment Collaborative's 16-week signature entrepreneur workshop right here in Culpeper. This long format cohort allows entrepreneurs to prepare for business launch through an interactive learning workshop experience. I attended one of those workshops last night in Charlottesville, and I can't tell you what the energy is like in that room. People are excited to share their new businesses, and they will be really well prepared at the end of this cohort. The event culminates in a graduation, and that group of people establishes really strong relationships, not only with their fellow entrepreneurs, but with the community as a whole. So I encourage you to take a look at that if you're a new business or startup in Culpeper. And there's more. Later this year, we are co-hosting a finance seminar sponsored by UVA Credit Union. Thank you, Trip. We regularly attend Correctional Institute resource fairs, providing information primarily for new startup businesses. And we offer regular office hours here in Culpeper for free confidential one-on-one business advising. I'm here Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and if those days are not good for you, I'm available via Zoom or remotely Monday through Friday. The Central Virginia SBDC has a robust network of organizations here to help you. But some of our strongest connections are with our county economic development offices and our chambers. The list of community partners and organizations that support entrepreneurs keeps growing. SBDC is designed to connect you, business owners and managers, to the most qualified resources, be them local, state, or national. Thank you, Culpeper, for your continued support. We look forward to a great year working with the community in 2023 and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rosie, and happy Small Business Development Center Day to you as well. Our next speaker will highlight the community's economic vitality. Trip Butler is a commercial banker with the UVA Community Credit Union, although he prefers the term community banker. Trip has been with the credit union since August of 2018, focusing on helping businesses achieve their financial goals. Trip has more than 25 years in the financial services field, and he is focused on improving the Culpeper community through personal involvement and advocating for a strong economic environment where businesses have the highest potential for success. Trip currently chairs the Culpeper County Economic Development Authority, serves as a board member on the Culpeper Economic Development Advisory Commission, town representative. He serves as a board member of People Inc. Financial Services, on the Rotary Club of Culpeper, and he is the chair of the Big Hitters Club, Hampton-Sydney College. So now to introduce Trip Butler to tell us more about economic vitality in Culpeper. Thank you, Trip, for being here.
All right, thanks for having me. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Hopefully that's working for you all. All right. And let's see here. There we go. Okay. All right. Well, first of all, thank you again. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Rosie. Yesterday, I talked with a prospective person that I wish to share with the CIC. So very much in my everyday step. So I'm going to note today I'm talking about economic vitality, but these views I want to make sure that are those of Trip Butler from my vantage point as a businessman, resident of Culpeper, and the various committees and authorities and commissions with which I serve. Today I want to share that I believe Culpeper is on sound financial footing or sound footing economically, and due to various factors, which I believe in 2023 we will have a strong year. Based on where we have been and where we see ourselves going. Certainly, there are a number of factors nationally, and I'm going to highlight those. This is real time. There are a number of things nationally that are happening in the economy and in the world. However, I believe I can support an upbeat and overall positive message today. I'm going to also share that they do call me Jimmy Stewart here at the credit union. So maybe that's a little bit of my nature. But I've used some some factual data, my experiences over the past year serving on these various committees and boards. And I have reached out to government officials, business owners, representing diverse categories in size and stature. So I've taken this seriously, and I hope this presents well for everyone. First of all, with Culpeper, we have a couple of things that help us, I think, buoy situations. We have a cohesive town and county government. Each body works well together. You have the Culpeper Renaissance that's marketing our downtown destination. You have Culpeper Economic Development and the Town Economic Development directors both working in the same offices, working in a collegial manner. So that doesn't happen in every community. So the town and county are working well together. That provides some sound footing for us. When I go around the area, our business community works so well with the school system. And the school system in turn works well and participates in local and government and business initiatives. I mean, these are things that that are intrinsic to Culpeper that help us economically when we are attracting businesses and folks are working and living in the community. We have programs that support vocational opportunities for both school age and second career. You have the Culpeper Technical Education Center. Then you certainly have the national, the New Pathways Tech, Workforce Services, Marty Bywater's. So we've got folks that when people need to make some changes in their careers or trying to attempt to get into a career, we've got a lot of support for that. And in general, some of the things that I think help us, our proximity to the nation's capital. When in the early 2000s, we were the 18th fastest growing county in the country. And while that might not be a great thing, that provides a little bit of insulation in times of economic challenge. We appear to be growing at a proper pace. Fluid road system with access to major thoroughfares and markets. All these things tend to help us. Our destination is appealing. We talked earlier about Culpeper Renaissance, but tourism with a rich history, recreational opportunities, quality shopping and restaurants, and many, sorry about that, and many recreational accommodations. And I call this boutique. Our downtown district, we have a lot of folks that come and stay. And when they stay, they shop and eat and do other things in Culpeper. This is something I think that is going to buoy us in the future. Our rural attributes. Our town is located right in the center of Culpeper. And so that allows us to have a lot of open space, which is very attractive to others coming to our community and wanting to get a respite, so to speak. Growing up in some other areas, I'm sorry, I've got to tell this person to stop calling. And then with clusters of communities like Brandy Station and other areas where we can have a density of some population, the Air Park, et cetera. There's a strong commitment with our Board of Supervisors to our agricultural heritage. I think that's going to bode well as we go forward. We have a hospital system here, and then our government fiscal responsibility has strong ratings, and we're on strong, sound financial footing. So I wanted to share that background because I think that's important. And so a couple of things that I think are that are key to our local economy. So when I was trying to figure out, okay, so how are we doing? And so if we look out there and we look at our sales taxes for the town and county, they've grown each year. Obviously, there may be a little bit of inflation happening with some of these numbers, but it shows that we're consistent. We've grown. COVID is over, man, and we're moving in a stronger direction. Also, unemployment. This is a positive, and it will pose, you'll see later, as a potential threat. We're very well employed here, so there are not many people seeking employment. I'm of the opinion that a number of people took themselves out of the market after COVID and said, "Hey, I'm hanging it up." They maybe retired early, or they decided to do something that is a little different, internet-based type businesses, things of that nature, that sort of took them out of the normal business flow. Housing units. Talked to our building department, and again, we have a couple of strong. We've got Clevenger's Corner. I think there are 400 housing units in the town of Culpeper that are moving. So there are a lot of things that are going to buoy us, in light of some factors that are happening nationally. And then going into the first 2 months of the year, talking with our building department, we also have some 5-unit type housing coming along. So not your traditional 1 to 4 family, and strong building permits that have been housing units that have been on board already. All right. I also note that a positive and a negative, our rental community. We're full. So we in the future, People Inc. is going to be adding some housing in the town that will be helpful, but we need to continue to move in that direction to house the folks that are in that market. All right, so I've tried to explain that I believe that we're on sound footing. I do want to acknowledge that on the other side of my Jimmy Stewart attitude, there are some potential threats out there, and we do need to be wary of that. Most of these are external. There's a war or a conflict. Some of those things are somewhat out of our control. We are dealing with rising interest rates, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment more thoroughly. There's a potential tightening of the credit markets. Nationally, there's some concern. And I talked to one of our businesses that noted that some of the financing that they do for some of their equipment, some of their customers have had more trouble receiving an approval, and he views that as a little bit of a tightening. Obviously, there's always a health scare out there after going through COVID, but I'll tell you this: that I think we're much more equipped to deal with things of that nature now. The new normal that I look at is low employment, lack of qualified workers, or lack of motivated workers. I think when I'm underwriting or looking at credits, we always ask, how are you doing with your employees? And most folks note that is a challenge for them. And they have to make steps to figure out how to overcome those challenges. So anyways, you may have to wait longer when you get seated at a restaurant, for instance. So these are real threats. They require business owners to be strong with their respective management skills, employees cutting expenses or controlling expenses, sizing up what to provide and what type of inventory to have on hand. However, these skills are important in any economy, but I do think they are going to be highlighted this year. All right. So I couldn't provide this report without talking about what's happened over the last couple of days or this weekend in the banking community. We are dealing with rising interest rates. I'm going to show you a chart in a second that are running at an historic pace. I believe that we're close to the end of that, but that's certainly affecting some businesses in terms of what they're deciding to do. I haven't seen it here locally as much as you might think, but I know that's in the back of everybody's mind. What happened over the weekend with Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank? These situations should be relatively isolated. These were financial organizations that dealt nationally. They dealt in sort of boutique type markets. You had Silicon Valley and all tech and startup type, and then you had Signature Bank dealing with some of the crypto. These were particularly with Silicon Valley Bank. This was really a true run on the bank, which almost did not happen in the financial crisis of 2008. This is a situation where they had announced They needed to raise capital to meet needs because they had sold some of their investments at a loss. And the next thing you know, I think someone took out $4 billion. So they were also consolidated with large depositors, mostly businesses, and just a perfect storm. They're, again, I wasn't in their rooms, but it would appear that they had risky investment strategies where they were susceptible to the rising interest rates, meaning they were long on a lot of their investments. So banks will invest in treasuries, short and long term. Typically, short term right now is the way to go because you want to be wary of the rising interest rate market and be available to make shifts in your strategies. And I talked about the lack of diversity in their customer base. Just yesterday in the paper, Andy Farmer of the State Corporation Commission that monitors the Virginia banking system said Virginia's banking industry remains strong and well capitalized. And I think that you'll note that your local and community style banks are in that situation. We are not far from the financial crisis of 2008, and so the heightened sense of managing your internal affairs is very real. So, thought this might be helpful to show what has happened, and you'll see where this is a dramatic rise in interest rate. This chart or graph comes from 9/23/2022, so September, and it shows such a dramatic rise that this was the steepest rise in interest rates that we had ever seen. Hopefully you can see that. I just wanted to basically show you for effect. So you can see the 2022. This is the Fed's funds rate, which is sort of how banks begin to make decisions on how they're charging customers. And it rose 236 basis points over the course of less than 5 months. So it was a little nutty. One more graph. And again, this shows you the Fed funds effective rate from 1955 to 2022. And I'm just wanting to, hopefully you could, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but you can see at the end, just a sharp turn upward. So it really caught a lot of people by surprise. That type of activity is certainly in the back of everybody's mind. Well, I started out with quite a bit of upbeat discussion. I hit a lull there towards the end to make sure that everyone knows that we still need to keep our eye on the future. But what I want to share with you is what I believe is a fair amount of optimism, and that I believe this is going to be a good year. We're getting close to the end, I believe, of some of the interest rate moves. The national economy is doing more of what the Fed wants. Obviously, there's going to be some headwaters that we've got to move through. Culpeper, though, is on sound financial footing economically. And I wrote this at the end, peeking over the fence. When I did talk to a lot of the businesses, they felt confident and comfortable, but there is this, let me just see what tomorrow brings. And so I think from that standpoint, that that's the way we are going to be looking at this year. And really, that's how we've behaved over the past couple of years with some nutty happenings. But whenever the government puts a significant amount of money in the system, at some point there is going to be this overreach, and that's what we've been going through over the past probably 8 to 9 months. That being said, Culpeper is well situated to buoy this, and I believe we're going to have a strong year. So I thank you for your time, and I hope this has been helpful.
Thank you very much, Tripp. Okay, our next speaker is Ed Dalrymple Jr. Ed serves as president of Dalrymple Holding Corporation, Chemung Contracting Corporation, and Cedar Mountain Stone Corporation. He serves on a variety of boards regarding Virginia transportation issues, including research, quality, and training. He is past president and current board member of the Virginia Asphalt Association, past president and current board member of Old Dominion Contractors Association, past chair and current board member of the Virginia Community College System State Board, past chair and current board member of the Go Virginia Region 9, a council member of the Virginia State Transportation Innovation Council, current board member of the Virginia Chamber, Virginia Foundation for Community College Education, Career Partners, Germanna Community College Education Foundation, Central Virginia Partnership for Economic Development, Culpeper Wellness Foundation, New Pathways Tech Inc., and Culpeper Airfest Foundation. So here to talk with us more about the state of workforce in our community, Ed Dalrymple Jr.
So all I got to do is be able to figure out how to start my PowerPoint. And if I could get some help, that would work.
Try the Alt S.
Alt S. And now I have lost you, Amy. Does it happen to be up now for you?
Let's see. Okay, in the middle of your screen, do you see the share screen, Ed? Or click Alt S. Jeff is going to get it pulled up as well.
There we go.
Okay. Oh, you've got it. There we go.
Okay, from the beginning. I'm going to talk, build on what Tripp and Rosie has said, and my subject is workforce training. I've been in Culpeper for about 30 years, and part of what brought me to Culpeper is the strength of the community and the programs in Virginia. The fact that Virginia is a really good place to work. Businesses do need employees, and businesses need to recognize that need. Tripp pointed out that we have 2.5% unemployment, which means virtually everybody is employed and working along. And so businesses have to recognize that they have a need, and they have different programs that they can reach out to meet that need. One of the programs that I work with a lot is the training that Germanna is able to do, the training programs that they can set up and specialize for a business. The Germanna right now is our third largest school with almost 12,000 students in it. Of those 12,000 students, 3/4 of them are part-time, and they are people that are training for credentials. They're retraining from a current position to another to improve their employment in life. Businesses are sending people to Germanna's facilities to move up from being a labor to a heavy equipment operator. I have people that have gone through Germanna's programs that work for our companies that are as good as anybody that you'll meet in the industry. They're good enough that we are actually sending them back to Germanna for additional training. Germanna is as I said, is the third largest school in the VCCS system now. They've expanded, their foundation has expanded their campus in Stafford, so their nursing program will double. Germanna is probably going to become a center of excellence for the construction industry. Their single largest credentialing program deals with the asphalt program, and a program that came about from the Virginia Asphalt Association and the Virginia Department of Transportation coming together with Germanna, a program that sees about 1,200 credentials a year, and training people in the asphalt industry to make sure that we, as we make the asphalt products and put them down on the roads, that they're put down properly. Again, we've been able to work with Germanna in the development of those programs, and that is proof of how businesses or an association, a group of businesses can come together and meet the demand of their industry. Virginia also has the Virginia Office of Education and Economics that is a part of the VEDP program that has methods for companies to get reimbursed for job investments, grant funding to cover the cost of training programs, and talent accelerator programs. The Virginia Talent Accelerator programs are a program that is only found in Virginia, and it is offers new and expanding trade sector training for companies. Those are all programs that we can reach out and through VEDP get funding to help support that. Workforce development in Culpeper is a changing program, and one that Culpeper should be very proud of. We have opened the CTEC Center in the Culpeper school system, the program that has over a dozen programs in it: mechanics, carpenters, health, culinary, programs that are mentoring programs that allow middle school, I guess, juniors and seniors to advance into programs that can have them able to go into the workforce immediately when they graduate school. VCCS about 2 months ago approved Fast Forward programs, which is the community college systems training programs, and pays for 2/3 of a student's tuition. They have allowed those programs to move into the seniors at the CTE Center, and that will allow companies to train people or help train people as in their senior years, so that when they graduate, they can become a full-time employee. To give you an example of that, we are bringing the mechanics of this at the CTE school out to the quarry to demonstrate to them how the quarry operates, show them a blast, and we're going to have them understand how we work on the big Caterpillar equipment. So out of those students, we'll select a couple of students to move forward in the heavy equipment operator and asphalt program at Germanna, which is adjacent to the school. So when those students graduate, they'll be ready to come to work, and hopefully we'll be able to bring them to work for ourselves. We also work with the Department of Labor in apprenticeship programs. These can be youth apprenticeship programs, which is somebody that we have a signature of their parent to have them work. They are apprenticeships in the local or in the normal trades that you would think of, and they're supported by the Department of Labor. The Department of Labor, Germanna, all of them will work together to develop programs that meet a company's needs. Workforce in Go Virginia has changed recently. The chamber, I am the chamber's representative on our local Go Virginia board. My term ends in June or July, and so the chamber will need to appoint somebody else to take my place. The Go Virginia program has changed as it's aged, and it recognizes that we have to not only bring businesses into Virginia, but we have to train people to meet those business needs. There are talent pathways that have become a bigger focus. We have GoTech training labs that have been established in regions 1, 3, 4, and 5. They have currently 25 schools that have instructors in them as a part of the GoTech program. The GoTech expansion to Region 9 may become something the school wants to reach out to as they learn more. They have Go Virginia currently has expanded to having 9 coaches in each of the Go Virginia regions. Workforce legislation this year, Kathy Byron supported the House Bill 2195, and Frank Ruff supported the Senate bill that is the match of that. It creates a workforce development agency that will bring about 24 agencies together. The bills still need the governor's approval, but since they were supported by his administration, he should approve the bills. The bills require that the fiscal agents of Virginia Employment Commission, VCCS, the Department of Labor, and Secretary of Labor will all come under one group. It'll be the Virginia Department Work Development and Advancement. Study groups have been put together with probably several hundred people on it to sort out how this is going to happen. This is something that a lot of people have worked on for years, and a link to the impact statement that was just recently released is a part of what I've got here for you. And I believe, Amy, that is all I have to say. I can't stress enough the ability for businesses to reach out to both the CTE Center and to Germanna to develop programs for ways that they can train people for their needs. Okay.
That's great. Thank you very much, Ed. Okay, our next speaker is here to talk to us about community health and well-being, and that is Jim McGrath. Jim McGrath began as the Executive Director of Rappahannock-Rapidan Community Services, also known as RRCS, in April 2018. RRCS is a combined area agency on aging, Community Services Board, Infant and Toddler Connection, and Regional Housing Authority for a 5-county region serving Culpeper, Fauquier, Rappahannock, Orange, and Madison counties, a unique organization and the only such combined agency in Virginia. Mr. McGrath has a long professional history in human service organizations supporting individuals with intellectual and behavioral health disabilities. Since his arrival at RRCS, Jim has been active with multiple community work groups and has been asked to represent our health planning region on the Virginia Department of Behavioral Health STEP VA Advisory Committee, whose purpose is to reform Virginia's behavioral health system of care based on national best practice models. RRCS was selected as one of 5 CSBs in the Commonwealth to be an early implementation site for the Marcus Alert legislation. This legislation seeks to establish protocols for the partnership of behavioral health providers and law enforcement to be better able to serve our community members in need. RRCS has experienced rapid growth of over 32% in the past 3 years and now employs approximately 400 dedicated staff. Most recently, RRCS was selected as the 2022 Culpeper Chamber of Commerce Large Business of the Year. So Jim?
All right. Thank you, Amy. I appreciate that. Let me share my screen. Y'all good? Okay. All right. So welcome, everybody. I appreciate the time to talk about health and wellness in our Culpeper community. And, Amy touched upon this, just a little background of Rappahannock Rapid and Community Services. And we are the Community Service Board Area Agency on Aging, Infant and Toddler Connection, and also a regional housing authority. And that's an area I don't think people realize how much work we actually do in the housing world in our community. We support a regional population of about 180,000 individuals and cover almost 2,000 square miles. And as we said, we have about 400 employees who work for the organization. And so I've been asked to talk about health and wellness. So we'll touch briefly upon the local COVID situation, more in my area, behavioral health updates for our community, the end of the public health emergency and what that means for some of the members of our community. I do want to talk about the Culpeper Youth Behavioral Health Risk Survey that was recently completed by our school district, and some of the things I think that we can do as the business community to help in those areas. So just received this update from our health department that shows the number of reported COVID cases for our community. And I think as everyone can see and hopefully is experiencing, the reported number of COVID cases has absolutely dropped dramatically in 2023. And more thankfully, the number of reported deaths we see for our 5-county area has been drastically reduced. And, speaking for the health department, I know they would say, the results of vaccinations and those types of items for our community. So from the COVID area, I think, our community is doing very, very well this year. In the behavioral health updates, and we use the term behavioral health, really what we're talking about is that combination of mental health and substance use. And so what we have seen over the last 3 years is the pandemic has absolutely increased the mental health symptoms and increased substance use in our community. For our area in Culpeper, and unfortunately, the latest data that is available from the Department of Health is 2022. But even as of 2020, but even as of 2020, we see in the Culpeper area a suicide rate that is significantly above the state and national average. So we see, and from the 5-year period of 2016 to 2020, we saw 42 suicides in our community. And we do know, although I don't have the data yet, we know anecdotally in some other areas that the number of suicide and the rate of suicide is continuing to increase over the last couple of years. And I thought this was an interesting statistic. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, the cost of just one suicide is nearly $1.5 million. So, we do talk a lot about the personal impact of suicide, but the financial implications of a single suicide is really very dramatic. And we do also know suicide prevention programs, particularly those that focus on building community resilience after a suicide, help reduce those economic costs of suicide, as well as the psychological effects. If we look at overdose rates in our community, again, we see in our community, we have a significant overdose rate. And from 2016 to 2020, we saw 83 fatal overdoses in our community. And you see our rate is a 35.2 per 100,000 population, which again, in Virginia, the rate is 19. So we see in the Culpeper community almost a double state rate of fatal overdoses. And if we look at that from a trend line and really look at what causes the fatal overdoses in our community, over the last 2.5, 3 years, We were making some progress, but with the introduction of fentanyls into our community, we have seen kind of that dramatic rate. And we do know, again, over the last couple of years, while the official data from the Department of Health is not quite yet available, we do know over the last couple of years that rate, and I suspect that line will go even steeper over the next couple of years. Just as an update, if people are not aware, the federal government, as of May 11th, will end the public health emergency. The public health emergency ending will not have dramatic effects on our community. In most areas, you know, you will still have access to vaccinations. One of the things that I think, became very good at over the last 3 years was the use of telehealth, and especially in the rural parts of our community, the availability of telehealth and some of the flexibilities that came with the public health emergency really allowed people to get treatment and support and see physicians much more easily. That will not change. As well as over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of advancement in opioid treatment medications and those availabilities. So all of that will continue with telehealth. But there are some changes. One significant potential change is during the public health emergency, the initial prescription for many controlled medications was allowed to be done by telehealth. And that is is proposed to go away with the end of the public health emergency, which could potentially have a lot of impact on individuals who live in our rural communities who don't have easy access to on-site prescribers. And so we're looking at this very closely and really advocating that if that change goes into effect, medications that people are on might become very difficult for them if they have to physically come into an office to get that initial prescription done. Also, some of the other benefits I think that are really important, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later on, but during the public health emergency, a lot of members of our community received enhanced SNAP benefits and Medicaid benefits. And a lot of those will be going away in May. Of particular note is the SNAP benefits. And SNAP benefits, for people who are not aware, is a supplemental nutrition benefit that lower income people in our community receive. And on average, during the pandemic, during the public health emergency, a single low-income individual is probably receiving about an extra $200 a month. A family of 5 on average could have been receiving an additional $700 to $800 per month for food and nutrition. And those amounts are going to be going away, actually went away at the end of February. And so we're very concerned that some of our lower income families who over the last 2.5, 3 years really became very dependent on those supplemental nutrition dollars for a majority of their food purchases are going to see a lot of trouble in the foreseeable future with those benefits going away. So it's something to be made aware of, and something that, you know, we've already seen at some of our food pantries and supplemental food source areas, a dramatic increase in demand. I also like to point out too, kind of the Surgeon General statement on the pandemic on teen mental health. So since the beginning of the pandemic, we have seen rates of psychological distress among our young people, including symptoms of anxiety, depression, and mental health disorders, have really increased. And as we said, you know, early data is showing us that we are seeing suspected suicide attempts for adolescent girls 51% higher than they were during the same period in 2029. And, you know, again, pandemic-related measures, when we were reduced with interactions, the availability of professionals to identify children who were having concerns was greatly reduced. And so we're seeing kind of that back end, and we'll look at that in a second with the youth behavior risk assessment that was recently come out. So if you have not taken a look. This was released a little while ago by the Culpeper School District, and the link is there. And I believe Amy will be sharing this information in our slides with people later on. I highly recommend everybody reads the Culpeper School District's Youth Behavioral Health Risk Survey. And I think the survey was very, very well done. Over 3,000 responses by students in 7th through 9th grade responded to the survey. So it has a very, very large data set. So I think we're very comfortable in the validity of the information that is being shared. There are over 90 data areas in the report, including things like mental health of students, substance use, risky behaviors of the youth in our community, including sexual behaviors, youth diet, information on violence and bullying, and a lot of other areas. And I pulled up just very, very few data points, but just to give the community an idea of what is the scale and the scope of the challenges that we are potentially looking at with our young kids. And so kind of a couple key findings. Of the 7th through 12th grade students, of the 3,000 who responded, or a little over 3,000 to the survey, 65% reported that they are experiencing extreme anxiety. So by, kind of numbers, it's approximately 2,000 students, okay? Of the 9th through 12th graders, 47% of those students said they felt sad or hopeless for 2 weeks or more, and it had stopped doing their usual activities. And again, this is a substantial increase over the last several years since the last report. Of the 9th and 12th graders, 26% have seriously considered attempting suicide, which again marks a large increase. And of our 9th to 12th grade students, 15%, okay, so of the respondents, maybe 400 or 450 students, had attempted suicide at least one time, okay? And I think one of the most critical aspects of that report in that last number is of those students who have attempted suicide, 55% of them report that their parents were not aware of their attempt. So I think a lot of times as a parent, we take stock that we know our child, but I think our children are telling us something different, that they are struggling and that we may not know how badly they are struggling. And I think I always include this slide because as we talk about addressing the issues that of our community, whether it's adults or children, the biggest barrier that we come across all the time for people to get help and support is the stigma associated with mental illness, right? And more than 60% of people with mental illness or mental health challenges won't seek the help they need. And stigma is one of the biggest barriers to that. And so as a community, I believe it's critically important that we talk about mental health services, we talk about behavioral health, we talk about health and wellness in order to ensure that our community members and our children really are comfortable in getting the help and support that we know people need. And hopefully you can see that, but it really just shows that, mental health challenges is a really prominent issue in our community. 1 in 5 adults in America has a mental health need. And, again, I won't read through all these, but, again, it's a situation that touches everybody. Okay. And so the other thing that I'd like to talk about too, is we talk about health and wellness, is we just can't talk about health and healthcare. We have to talk about all the factors that go into making a healthy community. And we refer to these as the social determinants of health. And they are really the conditions in our environment where people are born, live, work, and play and worship that have a very wide impact on the health and functioning and quality of life outcomes for people in our community. Okay. And that really talks about things like, food. What type of food do people have? Do they have adequate, healthy foods? Housing. Housing is a huge role in the health of our community. employment, education, a lot of the things that we are talking about today. Okay. And very much also aligned with that, and as it relates to the youth survey, I think it's very important for our community members to understand adverse childhood experiences. It's often just abbreviated as ACEs. And ACEs come in many forms, from physical and mental abuse to neglect and household dysfunctions. But what we know is what happens during a child's developmental years has a very, very great impact on their health, whether it's physical health or behavioral health as an adult. And, toxic stress and dysfunction in a family actually changes, brain pathways and those types of things, which again creates those poor health outcomes. And so I think it's just very, very important for us as a community, as we look at how can we best address and improve the health and wellness of our community, that we always are looking at what are those social determinants of health, what are those experiences our children are having, and how can we work as a community to lessen those impacts, and so we have a much healthier population as we go forward. So, what can our area businesses do to help? Again, really, I think it's they understand that the social determinants of health affect the health of our community, and support activities in our community that improve these areas. Affordable housing. Housing stability is critically important. Support, food banks, proper nutrition programs, those types of activities in our schools. Understand ACEs, be aware of those things that are affecting our children. Understand the impact of bullying and making sure that our schools have anti-bullying programs and those types of things in our community. Support revive training. As we talked about, we have in our community a significant overdose problem. Our overdoses in our community are highly connected to the influx of fentanyls into our community. So as a community, take a Narcan training, support Narcan training. I thought this was really very interesting. A report was just released, and it said that opioids are the leading cause of fatal poisonings among children aged 5 years in age and under. So having the availability of these types of resources for every member of our community is critically important. Take advantage of drug drop boxes. If you have unused prescriptions in your home, get rid of them. Okay. Kids start using substances that they find in their homes, right? So if you have expired drugs or drugs that no longer are needed, there are drug boxes and drop boxes all over our community. Get those extra medications out of your home. If you are an employer, support mental health first aid trainings in your workplace, right? It will allow your other team members to recognize their peers or members of your workforce who might be struggling, and how to best approach people and how to help people get the support that they need. Along those lines, support anti-stigma activities within your workplace, and support employee wellness programs. And I know employee wellness programs are one of those things that a lot of us as large employers think about as an add-on. But from a purely business perspective, employee wellness programs really are very good business things to take advantage of. You will improve your employee health, which will lower your healthcare costs for your employees. You will see increased productivity. You will see increased employee engagement, morale. You will see reduced stress levels at your place of employment. It will improve employee attendance, improve teamwork. And if you have a healthy workplace, we are all struggling to hire employees at this point in time. This can really help you attract new employees as well. So I thank everybody. If you have any questions, my contact information is here. Please reach out to me. I'm happy to help in any way I can. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jim. And yes, as Jim said, these presentations have been very informative, and I will send out the slide decks to all the registered attendees before the end of business day today. So our next presenter is First Sergeant Brooks Taylor. He has been with the Virginia State Police since 2004. Out of the academy, he was assigned Area 15, which includes Culpeper, Madison, and Orange counties. In 2018, he was promoted to sergeant and assigned to Area 18, which includes Albemarle, Greene, and Nelson counties. In 2022, he was promoted to first sergeant and moved back to Area 15. Being the first sergeant in Area 15 has been his career goal for many years, and we are thankful to have him serving the Culpeper community. So here to give us an update on the state of public safety in our community is First Sergeant Brooks M. Taylor with the Virginia State Police.
Thank you so much, and good morning to everyone. Again, I appreciate being here and being able to share what the state police does here in our community and what our goal is. And I'll start out briefly with the Virginia State Police mission statement, and that's securing the Commonwealth through leadership, collaboration, and community engagement. And everything that we do is fundamental with that. And here in Culpeper, for instance, in 2022, we had 891 vehicle crashes. And with those, we had 5 fatalities. And that's our main goal, is to reduce fatalities and injury crashes. And we do that in a lot of ways. And out of those 891 crashes, the Virginia State Police investigated approximately 400 of those crashes. So out of the 891, you have the town of Culpeper. The Culpeper Sheriff's Office also investigates crashes, and us as well. So it's a multi-pronged approach with what we do to reduce motor vehicle crashes. And we use the 3 E's, right? So the first of the E's is to educate, enforce, and engineering. And I'll kind of break those down briefly. And we'll start with education. So one of the educational tools that we use, and we partner with a lot of different organizations, but YOLASO, I don't know if you've heard of that, but that is Youth of Virginia Speak Out. So that is a program where you can engage with youth at the school and community level through peer-to-peer traffic safety programs. And it is impactful. So we go around to different schools and we have different programs. We have a little golf cart that we drive around and simulate certain things. So, that's hands-on engagement, and that's the educational, one of the educational tools that we use. Another educational part, and some people don't always think of it as this, is when you pull somebody over and give them a warning, right, for a traffic violation. Maybe I'll use this for instance. I stopped a lady the other day. She passed a farm tractor on a double yellow line. It was going slow. It had its flashers on. It had its triangle. He was in the right, and she passed on a double yellow line. So I stopped her. She was totally unaware. She was probably in her 50s, and she's lived in this community all her life, and she was totally unaware that she couldn't do that. She just said, "I saw everybody else do it." So I used that time to speak with her and let her know the dangers, and that was in fact a violation of the law. And our hope is that she'll spread that information to other people as well, so that they won't do that, which again reduces vehicle crashes, what we're looking for. The next part of it is enforcement. Unfortunately, that's a big part of our job, right? We write tickets, we make arrests for certain offenses. So we do that on a lot of different levels. You'll see us out and about. We are shorthanded, like many other professions throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia and the country. So maybe at times you don't see as many of us as you would like to see, but we are out there. We do that in several different ways. A lot of our information is data driven. So I'll sit here and kind of compile crashes, see where we're having the most crashes, seeing the reason for the crashes. Is it speed? Is it DUI? Is it distracted driving? So we'll use that data to come up with selective enforcement projects. And what that does is we'll have troopers saturate a certain area that may be having speed complaints or a lot of crashes because of speed. And we'll concentrate and hone in on that area with whatever specific time of date these crashes are happening. And that helps us a lot with reducing crashes. And we also partner with other law enforcement agencies for that, so that there's a more of an increased presence of law enforcement. Because, I've done this a lot of times. When I was a trooper, I'd have a marked police card. I'd drive up to a stoplight, and just my car saying Virginia State Police on the side of it, somebody would look over and forget they had put their seatbelt on, so they put their seatbelt on. So the more police vehicles that you see, people are more likely to follow the law, or maybe remind themselves, maybe they've had a rough day and like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be wearing my seatbelt, or I'm not supposed to be speeding, or something like that. So we do partner with multiple law enforcement agencies, the sheriff's offices and the town police departments in our areas. Next would be engineering. So we work with VDOT with maybe specific road areas that are not safe, whether it's sight distance, or maybe the speed zone is too high for that area. Maybe we need some more signage for a specific area. So that's important as well. If we're seeing a lot of vehicle crashes because of poor visibility, we'll work with VDOT. We'll get a site crew out there, and they'll do like a on-site test to see, okay, yeah, we need to cut this hill down, or we need to cut some of these trees back. So again, multi-pronged approach on that. And those are the 3 E's. And that helps us do our job efficiently and effectively. Another part that we do, I'm with the BFO side, the Bureau of Field Operations. So that's the uniformed troopers. We also have a BCI component, which is the Bureau of Criminal Investigations. And they're active here in Culpeper, as well as throughout the state. But with the drug task force part of it, that element that is in BCI, and they work with the local agencies as well to combat the fentanyl problem that we're having. We do see that is probably the number one drug that is purchased and is dealt here in this area. And unfortunately, it has caused a lot of deaths, and we're working really, really hard to combat that. And we're seeing a lot of that on traffic stops as well, with impaired drivers and such. So we do deal with that a great bit. So we are out there in many different forms, whether it's uniform or ununiformed. We are here to support the community. And our core values are competence, innovation, trust, commitment, wellness, and leadership. And, we do that day in and day out. We have many men and women that love their communities. We love Culpeper here in this region. So we're just glad to be a part and help. And please reach out if there's anything that we can do, maybe to make the roadways safer. We're always up for ideas, maybe kind of a out of the box idea or something. Sometimes really is effective. But I do appreciate everyone's time, and I thank you all for listening to me and being a part of this great presentation. Thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you very much, First Sergeant Taylor. So on behalf of the Culpeper Chamber of Commerce, I would like to thank all of our presenters this morning. All 5 of you have given us some very informative presentations. We really appreciate your time, your energy, and your enthusiasm. I'd also like to take a moment to thank our attendees for joining us for the 2023 State of the Community. As I said, I will send out the slide decks to all registered attendees later today so that you can revisit this information. And I'd like to thank our sponsors, Culpeper Media Network, Culpeper Star Exponent, UVA Community Credit Union, WinStar Technologies, and 103.1 WJMA, 105.5 and 95.3 SAM FM. Thank you all again very much for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day.